New under contracts and listings. We've had some. Who was the last one that just did one? Um, Kate, where is she? Welcome to the team. You guys have all been here. Okay. Rise. Who's been coming to these? You three. How have they been? Are they helpful?
Yes.
Do you want anything to change about them?
They really should be squished up. No, switch the 20 down to 12.
Yes, there's so much, right? Yes, I get it. Do you know why I squished them? I don't want agents to have an excuse to not do anything for 2 months. Because if you go to these, after doing these, you should be able to do basically everything. You're not going to be awesome at all of it. But you will have things. So, tomorrow we're ending off listing week with a how to work with the sellers. So this should be like you got the agreement signed. And then how do you go market it and sell it? And how do you communicate with your sellers? So it should be very, very helpful. Then we're going to roll into the database week. We want to get you clients. So how do you work with your database? How should you set that up? How do you run a 36 touch? And then how do you follow up with all the leads that you have? And then the following week, we're skipping the day for Memorial Day, but we'll have social media and open houses that will run on that week. So keep giving me your feedback, good, bad, ugly, because we're going to tweak, change. Some of it might just be expectations on the instructors. Some of it might be what we are actually going over. So how has the homework been going? I know Michelle did her CMAs. So how about you guys? You've been doing homework for this? Do you know what the homework are? Okay. Go put it into practice. So upcoming trainings. We are no longer doing foundations, if that is on your radar. These RISE classes should take over that because, for example, we did CMAs on Monday. That was one of the classes that we would do. So don't worry about coming in at 1 for any trainings. But so next week, we are going to talk about MOFRs, which stands for Make Offers for Immediate Response. This is how to get closings now, like giving them an offer that has someone raise their hand right off the bat. So we're going to work on that next week as a group. Then the 29th, we are going to have a lead gen competition. I'm not sure what you're going to win yet, but we are going to have some prizes. It will be like a point system. You get so many points for having a conversation, so many points for a lead, so many points for a referral, so many points for an appointment, kind of an idea. So get ready for that because that will be happening May 29th. So we'll do quick little practice here on what to say, how to say it, and then we're going to go do it. And then on June 5th, we're going to be talking about the content diamond. This is all about how to take what you're doing and utilize it in multiple ways and really blow up your social media. So you have tons of content that you can constantly put out there to build a following and get more leads from it. By the way, if you have anything that you do want to learn, let me know. I'm designing out probably like the next quarter of trainings, so I can put that on the list. Okay, I have a script challenge. Everyone partner up with someone. Imagine you call someone, you know that they own a home, and they say, when do you think a good time to sell would be? Partner up. What do you say? Wait, Michelle, have you introduced yourself? Oh my goodness, pause. Pause. Michelle, tell us everything about you. You've been here for so long and we haven't had team meetings for like 3 weeks because of things.
I have 3 kids. I live in Eagle Mountain and
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, good job. Okay, when do you think a good time to sell would be? You two have to practice even though you're married.
youth seller, or youth agent. Or what do you guys think? So, why is May 27th? So the 22nd.
I don't know.
Is that sort?
A random stat that I saw the other day. Wait, say this all loud, Kara, for the whole group.
Since January, February. So the contracts have been to give up. The average days on market have gone 71. 4 days on market, so they're selling faster. But some days I will look and I'll see that they're like, I think the highest I've seen is 456 houses that have been. um, for sale. So the longer you wait, the more houses are gonna be in the market. Sure, it'd be so much competition that it will put your price down, so the faster you can get on, you get everybody, especially if people are shopping the market. And might be not finding what they want, maybe that's why husbands are looking for something fresh. So being a lot.
Do you guys have an answer for this? Any good thoughts, scripts?
Settle down before school starts.
That is true. That is true. A lot of people move in the summer. And it's warmer. I would rather move in 100-degree weather than 0-degree weather. What? Sounds like you guys have never moved in December before.
Yes.
Yes, yes. So, do you want to hear my answer? Don't sell your house. Let's keep it forever as a rental and buy you a new house. How does that sound? Do you know what most people say to that? I don't think I can do that. Or that doesn't sound like me. And I say, okay, then my next answer to that would be, when do you want to move? Do you know when the best time to buy a stock is? Like if you're gonna try to time the market and buy a stock, do you know? Any time that you have money, buy a stock. And that's kind of the same with houses. Like, is it better to sell in March or in April or in May or in June? Yes. It's better and worse. There's not a good way to time the market. So if we were to fast forward 6 months, do you think home prices are going to be worth more, less, or the exact same? 6 months from now. Yeah. You say more?
Statistically,
Should be more. Do you feel like it's going to be more?
you know, but it's ready to tank, so
So let's talk through a few scenarios. A recession happens. What happens with home prices?
well, does the interest rate come down and it should?
The interest rate would come down. So if the interest rate came down right now, what would happen to home prices? They'd probably go up. So a recession might cause home prices to go up. It also could cause it to go down, right? If everyone loses their jobs, then no one can afford houses, so they can't buy houses. So then sellers get desperate and start selling at more and more of a loss. So if a recession happens, I just made the scenario very likely that home prices go up and that home prices go down. So which is it going to be if a recession happens?
In the middle.
Who knows, right? And that's if a recession happens. What if a recession doesn't happen? Like we have no crystal ball. There's no way to know the best time to sell. So the very best time to sell is when it's best for you and your family. That is the best. So if you're like, I hate my house and I am gonna strangle my children because they're all sharing the same bedroom and I have 8 of them. And then, yeah, like that would be a scenario like, let's go find you a house that has at least more bedrooms. Or maybe a basement that you could throw all of your children in. Something like that. So the best time to sell is the best time for you. It actually doesn't matter anything about the market because we know nothing about the future. It is too hard to plan and time things. So if someone asked me this, I would ask them a bunch of questions about their scenario. Actually, I would convince them to rent their house and buy a new house, but most people won't do that. So then I would move into, tell me about your scenario. Why are you thinking of moving? And then that's either gonna be like, yeah, you should move now, or you know what, we can wait. I try not to be like, I stole this line from World War Z. Brad Pitt says that all of the army guys are like a hammer, and to hammers, everything looks like nails. I don't want to be that for real estate. I don't want to be like, oh, you thinking of selling, you should sell. Oh, you want to buy, you should buy. Like not everyone, like, I don't want that to be my first answer. If you ask a roofer if you need to replace your roof, you know what they say? Yeah, you probably should. So I don't want to be that for real estate. I want to be the person that actually looks at the situation and decides. So everything's not a nail to me. You might want everything to be a nail to you. Maybe I've left money on the table or lost out because of it. Maybe I've made more money because of it. I don't know. There's never a way to know. So the next best time to sell? Yeah.
You said, I should set the call for thinking about a mother.
Yes.
Do you recommend it here? One from UCCU that it's a meeting, I think, that they allow me to create the equity to offset. Yeah.
Ooh,
But they also use.
Uh-huh.
Because even if you don't have payments or rentals here, they use that to offset.
I have not heard about that one, but that sounds amazing.
It's not a mortgage, it's a lien.
Um, Interesting. No, this sounds different. Yeah. Yeah, you should dig into that and let us know, because that'd be a cool option, because usually what people need to do is they need to save up enough for a down payment. And then they need to have a rental agreement in place so that the lender can count 75% of that rent to offset the mortgage. And if you're doing it right, like I have a friend, his total payment with HOA is $1,400. It's a 3-bedroom, 2.5-bath townhome. So he could probably rent that out for $2,000 or something. So if he rented it out for $2,000, 75% of that's $1,500. He is more than covering his mortgage payment and he could go buy a new house. Challenge is he doesn't get any of that equity out of it. So he would have to save a down payment, which is why most people don't do it. But in terms of long-term wealth, that's the best thing to do. You could do a HELOC, like you could probably take some money out on a HELOC to have a down payment. And then just work to pay off that HELOC over time. And hopefully the rental would actually cover the HELOC and his mortgage as well. So you might have to get creative, but if you can find out more info on that UCCU one, that'd be cool. Uh-huh. Yeah, maybe it's a better rate or something, but yeah. Okay, don't be a hammer. Okay, let's talk about negotiations. Okay, if you guys were to rank yourself right now on negotiations on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being like your what's his name from Suits? You guys watch that show? Harvey? No? Oh. Okay, that's level 10. Level 1 is you just give away everything and don't get anything that you want. Where would you guys rank yourselves right now? Can't be 7, by the way. Everyone says 7, so it can't be 7.
What's that? I feel like I- Well, I.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. I hate buying cars, by the way. I think that's the dumbest. The whole process is so dumb to me. Yes. Yes. Yeah. I actually don't like to negotiate like that. I like to like make a win-win scenario that everyone's happy with. So, how about you guys? We got a 6 and 8s and
Same. Shared process with things acceptable, so usually you.
well, you can negotiate everything. Um, I don't know. I don't know. These pictures, AI came up with them, and I just didn't change them because I was like, oh, they're decent. But some of these really great quotes. You do not get what you want, you get what you negotiate. Harvey McKay. I thought that was a good one. Um, negotiation means getting the best of your opponent. So, and then probably this last one, let us never negotiate out of fear, but let us never fear to negotiate. So don't be scared of it. As you go through it. So first thing in negotiation, you actually have to know what you're trying to get for your clients and what they want. If you have no idea what they want, you might negotiate the wrong thing for them. Wait, let's even back up for a second. What are some of the terms that you can negotiate in a contract? Real estate contract. What? A Harvey? Oh,
Mission.
commission is there? What else?
Design.
I'm just gonna call that credits. 'Cause you could do,
Closing costs.
yep. What else? Price. Surprised that wasn't number 1. What else?
Concessions.
Concessions. Cons. What else? Inclusions and exclusions. What else?
HOA.
You looking at a contract? Is that where you stole that from? You stole that from the contract? If there's a transfer fee or special assessments, that's part of the contract that you fill out. Who pays for those?
Do you think the HOA would take more or less money?
Well, I was researching negotiating is of private life, and one of the things I learned is I can simply ask for them to pay for a year of HOA.
Yep. Which is, some of these can go to pay the HOA. if you have extra concessions left over, the lender can use it to pay the HOA. So you could get like a year or so of HOA.
Insurance.
Yep, you can use that same with the home warranty.
Sessions will be by job.
Yep. Yeah. And we're not talking seller finance, because then you can throw in the interest rate and balloon and all of those things. What else? There's one really big one that you guys haven't touched yet. If you think about the rep C, it's the last thing that you fill out.
All the time.
Timing.
Terms of the agreement.
Yep. Yep. So we have a lot of different levers to pull. When you look at what your clients actually want, most sellers want the most price, right? But is that really what they want? They actually want to net the most amount of money. And that's just like the default. We're gonna net you the most amount of money, but that might be the lowest price offer might net you the most, because they might not ask for concessions, they might not ask for commission. They might exclude everything that you own, so you can sell it on KSL and make some more money. They might not ask for a home warranty, so you can actually get a lower price and net the sellers more money. That's a thing. Not always, but that is a thing. So, number one, the first thing that you gotta do is prepare yourself. What I mean by this is, what do your clients actually want? You should dive deep into their motivation. Like, why are they selling? Is it all about timing? You know, like in a divorce situation or a death, the moving for job, those kind of things. Timing may be more important than anything else on the list. And so that might be like, okay, well, if I could sell this faster, would you be okay with accepting less money? If I brought you an offer today, would you be okay accepting 10% lower than what I think it's worth? That's literally a thing that people do. If I made you a cash offer today, 10% less than the market value, would you take it? Most people would be like, no, why would I ever take that? But the people that do, now you just have someone that's willing to take 10% low as long as you can sell it now. With this preparation, you should probably know the market, right? How do you know if it's 10% undervalued if you don't know the market? So understanding the market. Active listening, you should listen more than you talk. This is a lot of questions. This might be the what if questions, or it might be just tell me more about that. What are you actually looking to get out of it? What are you going to do with that? You know, with sellers specifically, lowering the price by $5,000 usually means $5,000 less in their pocket. So if someone offers 500 and you're listed at 505, they get $5,000 less. But the difference for a buyer's payment, if they are 505 compared to 500, is like nothing. It's probably dollars a month. And so sometimes little things like that, but like, what would you do with the extra $5,000? Does it even matter to you? Like, it's $5,000, like that's a lot of money. So it does matter, but does it change anything in the circumstances? Or on the buyer side, like, would you be okay if your payment was $5 higher every single month? Well, then let's go a little bit higher on our price. You should probably establish trust, find common ground, build that rapport. The way that I would put this is be on their team. Like, you're on their side and they should know it. You have a fiduciary responsibility to that client and they should know it. You should be like on the same page. And sometimes this might just be you saying like, I'm going to tell you when I think something is good or bad for you. This is good for you, or this is bad for you. That's my opinion. I'm working with limited amount of information, but based on my experience, my whatever, this is what I think of you. So as you have that, we can work on some of these core strategies. Has anyone ever heard of anchoring?
Retail, we're just gonna say,
Yes.
Jason Penney's, and, yeah.
Oh, yep, yep,
that's-
yep. This is a little bit different than that. But J.C. Penney's actually uses anchoring, which is a great example. So, have you guys ever bought something that was like 50% off and felt like you got a great deal? Was it actually a good deal? Like. So anchoring would be like, if I were to say this shirt costs $50, but then you could get it for half off and get it for 25. Is that a good deal? Sounds like a great deal, right? I did not even pay $25 for this shirt, so it's actually not a good deal, but with the start, anchoring them at a price, $50, then your mind automatically goes there. And then when you get some money off, you feel great. So how this works a lot in real estate is, let's imagine I have a house listed at 550. What's that house worth? No one has any idea, right? Who knows what that house is worth? But we have anchored it at 550. So if your buyer now gets it for 530, what do they feel like? They just got it for 20 grand cheaper. But what's the house actually worth?
Yeah.
What someone's willing to pay for it.
Sounds things sometimes like fire. And then that goes.
Yeah. Yeah. So like, like the classic Facebook Marketplace, when you list something and then someone comes back, would you take $10 instead of 20? Well, if you're okay with $10 the whole time, then great. Now, where this could get you into trouble is with sellers. You don't want to start high to be able to use this, because if you start too high, no one comes and sees the house. So how you could use this is, I had some examples here. Maybe I lost them. So how you can use this is actually with comps, right? On the buyer side, I like to do this a lot. And so no matter what the price is, when I make an offer, I am justifying my price. So I am anchoring them to my new price based off of comps. So if they're at 550, I think we should get it for 530. I might make an offer at 520. Now, some agents would be like, you're offering 30 grand below list price. That sounds ridiculous. But if I can find some comps that justify that in any way, I am throwing a little bit of doubt into the seller's minds. And they start to think, oh, shoot, am I off on my pricing? Is it really like 520? Like maybe we can get them to come up $10,000. And now they feel like they're winning and we end at 530. Reciprocity. Sometimes just going back and forth actually helps you negotiate. Right? So if you're like, hey, agent, when do your sellers want to move? And if they're like, oh, they need to be out July 1st. Well, it's like, when's the earliest they would want to move out? Because if that date is also July 1st, we can make their move really simple and have them move out the end of June, 1st of July, kind of an idea. But we're going to get our price. So a common saying of this is your price, my terms, or my terms, your price, is what people often say. Would you buy a house for $1 million that's not worth $1 million? I would, if the terms are good enough. If they're like, hey, by the way, like you need to buy this house for $1 million, but your payment is only $100 a month. and you will owe me $1 million for the rest of your life. Until you pay me $1 million, you'll owe me $1 million, but you only have to pay me $100. I would take that deal. Even on like a crappy little condo. That might not never get to $1 million. You might never reach there, but $100 payment, I could rent that thing out forever. So your price, my terms, or my terms, your price, kind of an idea. Reciprocity. Yeah. Anchoring. Yeah.
If. it's Like, hey. This is 30. so you put the price. Can you actually retaliate with other?
Yeah.
We're looking at this is why.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, because what I'm doing as a buyer's agent is I want to throw doubt in their mind. And I want to justify my price so that they know I'm not just throwing a lowball offer. If all of the comps say 550 and I throw in an offer at 520, why would they ever accept that? And then from the seller side, how I defend that is, look, buyer's agent, imagine I lowered the price $30,000. How do you think that the market would respond? I bet it would go crazy because as you're seeing out there, all of these comps support my price. And sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. So, Jay, did you have?
See, some people actually get. Eccentric.
Yes. Yes. So you can use anchoring in a lot of things. This is actually very useful. I use it with my kids all the time. I'm like, all right, kids, you need to clean for the next 2 hours. We need this whole house spotless. And then we start cleaning and they're whining the whole time. And I'm like, you know what? If you guys actually can clean this whole room in the next 20 minutes, I'll let you be done and go play. Boom. They were expecting the whole house, 2 hours of cleaning. Then they feel like they got out of it 20 minutes of cleaning. But you know what I got? 20 minutes of cleaning without them fighting me. So you can use this in literally everything. You're setting some expectation and then you're bringing it down, or vice versa. Yeah. Yeah, you're anchoring because you're setting that expectation. That's why I think car salesmen, like, there's a price on that car window when you go shopping. And they're always like, oh no, don't believe that price. That's their anchoring price that they put on the window there. So they're going to try to bring in anything below that. So you feel like you're getting some sort of a deal. And then they'll throw in some terms and some upgrades, and all of a sudden you're paying more money and you're like, why am I even doing this? Let's talk about some of these more intermediate techniques. Let's talk about deadlines and timing. So today is Thursday. Let's imagine you go through a house and your buyers really like it. You write an offer. When should the response be? Or not the response, the acceptance deadline. If you write an offer today. Gabby says 3 days. What do you guys think? This is when the sellers have to accept your offer. So how long do you give them? If you write an offer today, when should they accept it?
4 days.
4 days. Kira, what are you saying? We got 3, we got 4. Did we just anchor you to 3 and 4? Do you know today? You write an offer right now. You just saw it this morning. You're writing it right now. When's your response deadline? 8 hours? Oh, 48 hours. So you're like 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. I would probably do, if I were writing an offer right now, I would say the acceptance deadline is Friday at 3. So I'm a little over 24 hours right now, assuming that my clients sign it right now and send it in. Why do you think that I would want it Friday at 3? I have 2 big reasons. You mentioned one of them. I don't want them to go into the weekend. What happens on the weekend? Showings. I don't want to compete with anyone else. What's my second reason?
It's gonna be more decision.
Yep. That's actually not mine, but that's a good one. Now I have 3 reasons. My third reason is I don't want to work Friday night. So I want them to accept by 3 o'clock, so then that gives me time to get it over to Brittany, who would still be working Friday at 3 o'clock. And things start moving before the weekend for me. If they don't accept it, then I have the weekend to go show homes if I want to. I can counter, we can do whatever. Let's flip the script now. You're the sellers. I just send you an offer in and I say, accept this Friday at 3. It's like an okay offer, like your sellers are debating whether they take it or not. And it's Friday at 3 as the acceptance. What do you do as the sellers? Let's talk about if you were to counter, when do you send a counter offer? Because it does not have to be Friday at 3, by the way.
You can send it immediately.
You can send it immediately. Do you want to?
Depends on how much activity
Great answer.
and it's just a meet overall.
You have one showing scheduled for Saturday.
No other activity on the hospital.
Let's see, you've had 3 showings. You've been on the market for 10 days
So it's up 2 weeks.
and you have one more scheduled for Friday or for Saturday. It's a good location.
This is
No other offers. This is our very first offer.
maybe another same day.
So you get it today, you would counter today.
Because it seems like they are urgent to.
Yep.
Make negotiations that can be.
You counter before the showing?
Show it.
Okay. We need, I know.
That you're saying?
We're not planning an open house this weekend, but we do have one showing. So all of this depends, but I wanted to open your mind. Wait, okay, go.
Is it possible to contact the showing people and say, hey, somebody just put our offer. Do you want to see the house? And see if you want to put it on.
I love where your thoughts going. We also had 3 other showings. Maybe they're still interested. In the market a couple years ago, if you were semi-interested, you had to make an offer. Now you have a day or 2 to sleep on it. You could call those other offers and be like, hey, I wanted to make sure you didn't miss out. We have an offer. We don't love it. And so if you guys were interested, I just wanted to give you a chance. You never know what's going to happen there. I like that. Call the other showing. Hey, we actually have an offer. Tell me about your buyers. Are they serious? Do they want to get in earlier? Because then we could accept it there. I very rarely will counter an offer before the acceptance deadline. So if it's Friday at 3, it doesn't really help me as a seller's agent to give them a counter really fast. Unless they are going out and seeing a bunch of houses. But I'm gonna assume that I'm the house that they want, so they put an offer in on mine and they're not shopping a whole bunch. Because what happens typically is you go out to see houses, you see 3 or 4, and you say, this is the one, let's make an offer. And then they're sitting by their phone waiting. And so if I'm countering really fast, then I might be seeming desperate, like kind of reading between the lines. So it's not a bad idea to wait. Maybe it makes sense to your sellers to move quickly. This is where like listening and being on their same team really, really helps. So you don't have to counter by the acceptance deadline. That's a huge thing. A lot of agents don't understand. They'll be like Friday at 3. I think the nice thing is by Friday at 3, you should let them know what you're doing. Hey, by the way, we're going to send you a counter offer soon. That's like a text that I will send out. Like, hey, talk to them. we're gonna send you a counter, expect it soon. That means nothing. I'm not telling them any terms, I'm not giving them any ideas, we're just doing that. Sometimes, if I'm looking to go back and forth a whole bunch, I will make a phone call and we will just go back and forth on the phone. Hey, I wanna make this deal happen, sounds like you do too, this is where my sellers are at, where are your buyers, how can we just meet in the middle? Which is more of this creating the win-win kind of an idea. So this is where you would just literally talk together, works best on the phone. And you'll probably go back and forth with phone calls often. Like, hey, we're $5,000 short of making this deal work. I think that we can do this. Are you okay removing some of your closing costs or raising the price or something like that? And then they'll say, oh, let me go ask my buyers. And the buyers will say, can you get it for this? And they're like, we could do like 2,500 off. Would your sellers be okay with that? And you're like, yep. So you're looking for win-wins. From the buyer's side, you want the price as low as possible, so look for all of the alternative wins. Timing, inclusions, exclusions, those kind of things to win to get the lowest price. With the sellers, you want to maximize the price, and so you might be giving up some of those things. I don't really want to cover all of these besides the creative solutions, like look for ways to make the win-win, but that your sellers feel like it's a big win for them. Probably the emotional intelligence one as well. You should remain unemotional about the offer. You are not excited either way. Like you're excited for them if they get it, kind of an idea, but you don't have to get emotional if they're accepting it or not. And so you're on their buyer's side, your seller's side, whatever. And then you will help them. You don't have to get emotional. This agent's being so dumb, not accepting our great offer. Can't believe them. We shouldn't even work with them. Like those are bad things to say. Agents will do that often. So I always think I need to show up as a great agent when I am talking to them because I am part of the whole thing that they are also getting. So if I'm a jerk to them in negotiations, they are not going to want to work with me. If I am unresponsive, if I am short, and if I am disorganized, all of these things come across as maybe we don't want this agent. And you could lose out multiple offer situations in that scenario. But there is less of those right now, so lucky for that. Okay, when can you negotiate a contract? Like, what are our negotiation points? We obviously have when we make the offer. Do you get a chance at any other point to negotiate? Let's take it from the seller side first. When do the sellers get to negotiate again? You've accepted an offer. Is there a point between an accepted offer and closing where they negotiate again? Sort of. Only if the buyers bring it up. The sellers don't get to bring that up. And so that could breeze right through. Similar with the appraisal, if the appraiser comes in fine, they don't get to negotiate. So that is the only time that sellers actually control some aspect of the negotiation. Once it is accepted, the sellers cannot do or change anything in that contract all the way to closing. From the buyer's side, let's talk about that. You get it all accepted. When are you able to negotiate again? The inspection. That is usually the first point. You will learn more about the house than you knew on your initial walkthrough. Some things that drive me nuts is when agents will walk through the house, they're clearly like something wrong with the carpet. We'll go through all of negotiations and then they'll have their inspection and they're like, we want to replace the carpet. And I'll be like, you saw the carpet when we negotiated already. That was known. That is not found. That's not new. But like, if the furnace doesn't work, that's new. If the roof needs to be replaced, that's new. Like you typically don't know those things on your walkthrough. So that is a great time. When's the other time that you get to negotiate as a buyer? is it's if the appraisal comes in short. FHA and VA addendum or loans also have like repairs that might be needed. Most of those are done up front. There is actually in the FHA and VA addendum, there's like, you agree to repair $1,000 worth of stuff or whatever. So you pre-negotiate all of those things. But even if they come up, I'm renegotiating all of that. If the appraisal comes in low, that's when you are renegotiating again, and it is all about price because we need price to work. So you might have to move other things like concessions, commissions, and other things like that to get the price where it needs to be. You probably won't negotiate just other random times. The only other time that you will negotiate typically is if the buyers or sellers cannot close on the closing date. If something changed between when you went under contract and the closing date and you can't close. The most common scenario with this is like the buyer's loan is not ready. So they will need an extension. Some agents have like a thought. So Clay Winders, his advice to his sellers is you get the first extension free, the second you have to pay for. And when he says extension, he means a few days, never more than a week. So if the buyer's like, like our loan's not quite ready, we need 3 days. Says, great, we can get you 3 days, but you're not going to get more than that without paying us more money. And usually at that point, paying more money is out of the buyer's pocket. If the sellers have some sort of problem like that, they can try to extend, but usually the buyers will come back and just say no, or dock some money off the price, or give us some more concessions or something. So typically when something comes up out of the blue and you need to negotiate, you're usually giving it away. So prepare a whole bunch. Definitely do your listings or your listening and figure out what your buyers or sellers want. Clearly document this. Now, if you're documenting it, you should probably have Brittany help you write this. You are not an attorney, so you don't get fancy and write crazy addenda. You probably will have very simple things that has been done before. We probably already have things, there's like clauses on the MLS, a lot of those that you can use. And if you get into a weird scenario, even today, whenever I have to write a weird scenario, I will write it and I will take it to another agent and I will say, I want you to read this and tell me what you think it means. Because sometimes I will write it and it sounds like it makes sense to me, sounds like it works for the scenario, but it's just so confusing. So if I'm like, read this and tell me what you think all of this means, then if they are on the same page, then I can send it to the other agent and they can sign there. Yes.
So, when it comes to the. Something was wrong with the. Right, yeah. Sort of a thing. You're the student addendum.
Yep. You do an addendum. So yeah, so you always keep the same exact rep C, and then every time that there is a change, you would add an addendum. And so like if you need to change a settlement deadline, well, that's section 24 line D or something like that. Don't quote me on that, but that's probably close. And so you can just say settlement deadline to be this, and you sign and the buyer sign, and then you now have that. The good news is the rep C has almost all of the things that you might need to fill out. Like maybe the sellers are like, we're okay extending, but we want more earnest money. Or we want some of your earnest money to go hard and be released to us or whatever. Most of the contract has language like that, like additional earnest money deposit. That's like a checkbox, right? So if you want to be like, how do I write this? Go read that paragraph and basically reiterate that, and it's there. There's a paragraph that's like, so much of the money will be released to the sellers if the buyers cancel after the due diligence deadline. You can add something like that in. So most of the creative solutions are already even baked into the contract. You can use and read those. But every change will be in an addendum that they'll do. And then hopefully you get on the same page before a lot of these things. Like even inspections, my favorite way to do it is to send an email. And I do some sort of an anchoring type of technique, like, hey, we did the inspection. You won't believe all the things that we found. It was crazy. However, I talked to the buyers and they're only looking for these three things. Or something like that. And then it seems more manageable. And I mentioned how worried they are about these things and that it's a big deal to them. So then the sellers are like, ooh, are they gonna cancel based off of this or not? So little things like that. Yeah, Jerry.
Inspection. What's getting struck? So you can advise the seller to. Inspection. Maybe like-
They probably know what's wrong with their house. Like, you know how old your furnace is, if you were the one that put it in, especially, like those kind of things. But sometimes you buy a house, like, I don't know when my furnace was replaced. No, actually, I replaced my furnace, my water heater. I just did that one. I had no idea how long it had been in the house. And so like some of those things, like you just won't really know. So the inspection might find some stuff. Some agents will do like pre-inspections where they figure out everything that's wrong so the sellers can fix it. The problem that I have with that is some buyers are super handy. You know, like if you're like, oh, this water heater's out. Well, maybe a plumber is gonna buy your house and they would love to buy a house and actually have a house where the water heater's out, because if you pay a plumber to replace it, it's way more money than if the plumber just replaces it themselves. Kind of an idea. So you never know what someone's gonna ask for and care about. So to get the most out of the house, you might want to fix it, but then they're putting money into the house to fix it. So I spend more money on cosmetic type things to make it look good as they're walking through. And anything that I know for sure will come up, like broken windows, those always come up, especially in FHA, that will get flagged. If the roof needs to be replaced, that's probably going to come up and cause issues unless a roofer buys the house. Kind of an idea.
So my old furnace, this shell is original to the house, it's 20 years old.
Yeah.
We have replaced everything inside of it in the last 2 years. So if you look on the outside, it looks so.
Yeah.
Inside is new. So would you just keep receipts and just be like, hey, it's actually not.
So in a scenario like that, what could potentially happen? Like I have my buyers, I walk through and the inspector's like, this is 20 years old. Their expected life rate is 25 years. And so you plan on replacing that in the next 5 years. And they're like, ooh, I'm worried about that. We actually want to ask them to replace that. So then they would say, hey, we want you to replace the furnace. And you say, oh, good news. We've replaced everything inside of the furnace and it's working perfectly. It's all 2 years old. And so you're fine. We're not going to replace the shell of the furnace because all of the guts are new. And then the buyers just have to decide if they're okay with that or not. Which most of them would be. I can't imagine that even buyers would be like, oh, 20-year-old furnace. Because they're supposed to last 25 years. So my grandpa's water heater was 25 years old. They should last 8 years. So the buyer came in and like, we think this is gonna break. And I'm like, I think it's gonna break. Let us buy you a home warranty because that's cheaper than replacing this. And then you get coverage on all of this other old junk. And I'm like, I don't know what my grandpa was doing to keep that thing going, but just stop taking care of it and it will break. And we spent $700 on a home warranty instead of $1,800 replacing a water heater that still was working. So, okay. Yes. So home warranties are not the solve all. So they're kind of like insurance for your house for things that insurance won't cover. So it's typically like the appliances are the big things that they cover. If something breaks, you pay a service charge to send them out. It's like $60 to $70. They look at what's wrong, and then if it is covered in the home warranty, they try to fix it. If they are unable to fix it, they will replace it, but there is some sort of a limit of what they will spend. Most of them are like 5 grand kind of an idea. So if your furnace goes out and they're like, it's 10 grand to fix, they'll give you 5 grand.
So who wants to think?
You can decide. It's negotiated in it. Yep. So if I put it in the contract, I always have the sellers pay for it. If the sellers are not paying for it, I don't put it in the contract because the buyers can still decide, but then it's not part of a contract that they have to buy it. But typically they're like $700 to $800. There's a handful of different companies. They're all very similar. I would get a relationship with one of them because no one really cares who you use. The big three in our office are Silverback Home Warranty, Elevate Home Warranty, and Ibex Home Warranty. And so you could like interview all of them, see the pros and cons, see which one you like, see who you like, because typically it's when something goes wrong, you seem like a hero when you call the home warranty company and get anything to happen. There's some service number, but like I just happen to know the guys that own Elevate and that own Silverback. So I seem super cool when I say, oh, hey, let me actually call the owners of the company and get something going on because you're not getting answers or something.
That like structural warranties.
Not the structural stuff, but if anything that's not covered by the home builder, you can usually get that on there. And you can get them for like after when the home builder's warranties.
Insurance.
Yep. So homeowners insurance it's legit insurance, and if something like they typically don't cover like appliances and things like that. Yeah. Yes.
So I heard that even though new builds, you still should have them inspected.
Yes.
They actually have issues.
Oh. Like my house point tree, we built it. Beautiful. It's not to be the review. And I think we have it. And the person came through as watching. Actually, these things, these last like 3 like they had with air ducts within and also well they also cool because they didn't know where
So lucky. Yes. It's real easy to get builders to fix things. It's real hard to get homeowners to. Yeah. Yeah, so all of the like there was this last one that I heard, the main sewer line wasn't connected correctly at the street or whatever. And they just happened to do a scope to check it out. The builder found out. They said, this is wrong. They actually ended up scoping the rest of the street and figuring out everyone's was wrong. And the builder fixed all of them. Yes. So someone definitely got fired over that one. But it was all because one person did an inspection and then everyone else benefits from it. Okay, are you guys ready? I want to do a role play. Can't see. Okay, let's see. Let's do one of these 57 with the price that went down today. Ooh, Saratoga Springs. How about that one? Okay, we are gonna role play. Nope, I don't like that one. Wait for it. South Jordan. 7 days. Who are these people that are going? That's the worst. Oh. Okay. This is our house. Nope.
CMLS.
It is. Sorry, wait for it. 207-8943. I was telling someone about your greenhouse.
So
It's a copy.
I'm dealing with, in Brad's house. I could find out that as every house in the entire neighborhood sold before 60 days, just except for one outlet. And, you know, but. Granny Florida, the entire house is painted like rainforest green. It's two shades, it's either color the minty color like your shirt, or it's just green, just like. Ah, even the garage. They let us relaxing. You
Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. So this is our house. It is now listed at 617, basically. I don't know why they chose such a weird number. One of you is gonna be a buyer agent and one of you is gonna be a seller agent, or you know what? Let's do this together. Okay, you two are gonna be one of them. Shell here, come over to this side. We're gonna teamwork this. You can't see each other during negotiations. Okay, okay. You guys are the buyer. Where'd my marker just go? Let's see.
Once you're in that, you're. Is it changing?
It's completely, it's completely,
Isn't that saying it is?
That's on the board. That's the one you're gonna be.